Warning! The following episode of Between the Studs contains spoilers for LEGO Masters Season 2. You have been warned. Good day, my noble lords and ladies! Welcome to another exciting episode of Between the Studs. I am your noble host, Sir Brick Stackington, and I am joined today by two men of honor. We have the noble Duke...
Mark of Falworth,
Master Craftsman, and
Chris the Braves.
Chris the Braves.
Braves, yes.
Protector of the lands and lord of all the bricks.
And master of the tomahawk.
Look at him chop. Okay, that's good.
Okay, we're good. I might leave these on for a second.
Yeah, there you go. You can gesture.
Those helmets are uncomfortable, though.
Gesture powerfully with them.
We had on episode 11. Oh, wait, no.
Episode 11. There we go. Let's talk finally about some castles. First of all, my condolences on not being the Castle Bros anymore. I'm so sorry that was lost. Do you plan on retaking that anytime soon?
Well, it's actually a two-sided coin, you know, because we were the Castle guys, the Castle Bros for a long time. And it was almost kind of like they're only the Castle Bros. That's all they do. But now Steven and I do so much more than Castle that it's almost limiting. We're happy to pass on that title and then just be people who build Lego. You know, It's like we build all sorts of things. Castle will always be our favorite, but we're not just the Castle Bros.
So it's almost a very good thing that happened.
We're taking it in the best light possible.
It couldn't have gone to a better set of brothers. I mean,
I was about to pull that one out. I'm like, basically, Caleb and Jacob are great builders, and they pulled out an amazing castle. It almost looks like the Disney castle the way it's arranged. If it's going to go to anyone in any situation, that was a really great way for it to go. So I'm actually kind of grateful that that's how we were to lose the Castle Bros title.
It's less loss and more you passing the torch.
We're not taking it as oh no, we lost our title. It's like, well, it's going to a great home, you know?
Yes.
Caleb especially will very much cherish it and carry it on in very good spirits.
That's awesome.
It's also very official because I changed my Instagram bio. It used to be Mark of Falworth -Castle Bro. Now I changed it to Mark of Falworth -a guy who likes castles.
Formerly known as...
Yes, and people are reacting to it, so it's great.
That's awesome.
Hey, Justin, maybe me and you could be the next Castle Bros.
The next Castle Bros.
Yeah.
The Nexo Castle Bros.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Nexo Castle Bros. Yeah.
We'll only build castles in the Nexonite style.
We'll have to get some tips from Mark, because he knows a lot about those.
I think Dana knows more about Nexonites than I do. I know. He's seen the show. I have not bothered to do that.
You gave us a hint last time that you were very excited when you guys were walking out, and you saw the banner and the suits of armor, and you guys kind of lost it a little bit.
Yeah, we were freaking out like, yes, we actually get to build something that's castle themed, because that didn't happen in season 1. As far as I know, that's pretty original for any any international Lego Masters. So it was like, this is new, this is fun, this is a theme we love. So we were just over the moon. And if you look at it, Caleb and Jacob are also freaking out just as much, but they're maybe not as much volume or expression as we were, but they were same reaction. Will actually called it out. I was like, Mark, you seem really excited about this job. They didn't cover that, but he was just like, dude, what, are you okay? And we're like, yeah, we are like really into Castle. We're like the Castle guys. We're the Castle Bros. They're like, oh, okay. So they kind of jumped in that. Not necessarily saying this is our title, but this is our thing. They jumped onto the fact that we were the Castle Bros. And they kept going with that. So it became a thing after that. But that's the whole walking in. We were just ecstatic, over the moon.
So when they gave you guys the challenge of, you have to build it off the wall, and the wall only has 2 studs sticking out of it in random places?
Like 8 or 10 studs total to build off of. It's just insane.
What was going through your guys' head when they said, the farthest out is instantly safe, and it also has to be castle themed?
Unfortunately, everyone in this whole season was like, if there's a technical challenge, Zach and Wayne should do great at it. That's like their forte, is just doing something that's strong or engineering or that kind of thing. And so when we said it has to be the farthest out, I'm like, well, it's going to be like 8 feet. I don't think we feel like doing that. It's not going to look good if we do that. So we're just like, we're probably not going to lean towards trying to be the strongest, because it's just not wise. It's not our skill set. I mean, like, we build pretty strong mocks, but they're not designed to do these crazy things in the normal building of ours. So we were like, Zach and Wayne probably got it. We didn't know what Caleb and Jacob were going to do. They're pretty technical too. But we're going to go kind of towards aesthetics and just play it safe, because based on the build that we were working on, the cliff face and the water below, there were 2 cameras embedded in the base of those things, ready for something to fall. That's how confident they were that someone's castle was just going to come crashing down.
Oh, man.
And we're like, if someone's castle goes crashing down, they won't have to decide who's going to the finale. It's going to be obvious. So we're like, yeah, we want to build a cool castle, but we really don't want to fall down. So we're just like, yeah, we're gonna play it a little bit safer here, even if we don't necessarily, like, we don't represent the best castle we possibly could have done. We're going to make sure that we have no chance of actually losing. Absolute catastrophic failure. We want to avoid that at all costs, even to the detriment of making the most grandiose thing we could. That was going through our minds as we were going up to that challenge with those tiny little bricks to build on.
I wanted to straighten some out that I mentioned before, that I was a challenge tester. And I did work behind the scenes on the show. I was completely separated from them. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know results or anything. And I said, I think the car was the last one I worked on. That is not true. Mm-hmm. This challenge I did do with Angie. This one sent me crying. I had no idea how to do this. And our wall was very similar to yours. I don't think they changed it. Mm-hmm. A lot of the challenge I worked on, by the time it made it to the show, it was changed, it was altered. Yeah. Even if it was something as little as the time. But I don't think this one was altered at all. It was exactly the same. Those, and I assume it was the same for yours, the wall was glued together so that you couldn't blame the wall on any structural integrity.
It was a block of solid plastic at that point. It was so heavily glued. Yeah.
Okay. So I say all this to tell you, the reason why I think I forgot is I just blocked it out of my mind. It was such a horrible experience for me. What ours ended up looking like, my idea was this Technic scaffolding, and the farther you went out, the more Technic it went back into the wall and grabbed on in different spots. And the idea was, as it pushed down, it would push back against the wall and then make this triangle force pressure.
Yeah.
None of that worked. What had happened is the Technic beams, as the little behind the scenes with Jamie explained, they just pushed against each other and the triangle ended up spreading. Mm-hmm. And so there was no strength whatsoever, and it didn't matter because the stupid thing would just pop off that one stud that it was holding on to. So I say all this to preface this next question. How? What architectural gods did you pray to? How did, not just you, but Zach and Wayne, how did any of you get it to actually stick to the wall and not fall down?
It's an extremely daunting challenge when you look at it, but if you have a couple tricks, it's not as bad as you'd think.
Okay.
And it's like you just need to know a couple implementations in order to get onto that little notch. Interestingly, that's actually what medieval castle interiors, when they have trusses in the roofs, they have those little blocks that they're building off of to have the arches go onto those in like cathedrals and stuff. So that's not too far off from a very traditional medieval architecture that we're going off of. Zach and Wayne and Caleb and Jacob used the technique that was shown a little bit by Jamie, where you put the bricks around it and then you have almost like a bolt or a lock on top of it. It basically locks it in place because it's got belt around it, almost built of bricks.
So it almost sandwiches the things coming off the brick below it and on top of it, sandwiches those together so they can't pull apart.
And these pieces are attached this way, not this way. So it's not going, much less likely to separate horizontally than it is to separate vertically. So it holds it in using the plates or bricks in that way. Steve and I did a similar technique, but it was different. We actually didn't really necessarily utilize that technique before. It didn't cross our minds. What we did was we had Technic bricks on top and below and use a Technic lift arm to do the same action. So we have pins going that way, and that holds it in there. But that wasn't the only thing we did. Because we're using bricks and have lift arms on the side, there's no horizontal brace. We had bricks going all the way down to the next level. And you can't just snap pieces in there. When you're building either underneath or above. And when you get to that middle brick, you can't just lock it in there. We actually placed the bricks together like this. And then I would hold on to the back wall and punch it with all my might. And it would go pow and snap in there. pushing the bricks beyond their physical norms to get them in there, almost breaking them and the wall to do this. So we were literally snapping like a shin bone to get it in there. And so people were like, what was that? There's a huge pop and Mark is really putting effort into the wall. They did not show any of that because it's highly illegal. But are they going to stop us? No, we got the bricks in there somehow.
Yeah.
So we really bent the rules a little bit there, but we also used technique to our advantage as well. So.
Angie and I did that on ours. We were popping the bricks in. Same, like you said, we held the back of the wall and just pushed and prayed. But when we reached our limit and it fell, it would just pull them out.
Yeah. We used anywhere from a 2x4 to a 2x8 to a 2x12 brick as we're snapping them in there. It wasn't just the 2x2s or 2x4s.
Okay.
So we're using longer bricks and then building off of that. So it was basically solid, connected to multiple points in the wall, bricks with those Technic braces, and our castle was pretty sturdy. But that being said, we really didn't push ourselves beyond. I think our bridge area was about 4.5 feet, maybe a little less than 4.5 feet. And that's exactly what we're like, that's what we'd like to do. And we had that goal, and it worked out great. All the towers were hollow, so we're really trying not to fall and make sure that there's no chance of it falling. And thankfully, it was a very strong build. You could move it around. You could basically pull on it, it wouldn't come off.
I want to know, what was, when you first saw that technical challenge of building it out really far and seeing what Zach and Wayne did and did you have an idea of how you would do it, or did you fully understand what they were doing?
I thought that there would have to be some trial and error, and I think it showed Mark and Steven trying to figure out different things that weren't working, and one of the other groups, I think, said something to you guys, they haven't even figured out how to do it yet, or you guys said it to somebody else. Somebody said that, but I did notice that you guys and Zach and Wayne were using a lot of white. Is that a stronger color than
you don't want to use reddish brown?
Yeah.
That's the one color you don't
today.
It's just on the old legacy of it being a really weak piece.
No, even today.
Yeah.
Really?
Even today. We just got a brand new minifigure in. I can't remember who it is, but he's an expensive one. Oh, Zuckus. He just came out.
Dark brown, but still brown.
Yeah, he just came out in those 20th anniversary sets, the Slave One, I think. He was mint condition. He had not been played with, but he had a fracture in his torso. I was so disappointed because he's like a $40 minifigure. So still today, you're going to have any brown in it, I think, is going to make it weaker. Plus, bright light orange is another one.
And dark red tends to be a weak color as well.
Even I was hoping they'd fix that by now.
No.
On the basic bricks is not so bad. On some, if it's even the tightest, like a little bit of a stress point, like a minifigure legs, it's a horrible place to get broken. It's definitely something to avoid. I know that all the bricks that were embedded in the wall were yellow, and I know that yellow is used in Technic and interior pieces all the time. So I think that they probably have done some research and found out that yellow is just a tiny bit stronger. Maybe the color works better with the plastic. It's less interference. I don't know. Yellow and white and red, some of those primary colors seem to always have no problems as far as breaking.
When Lego Masters did the hanging challenge, it was a yellow Technic brick.
Yes.
Yeah.
We guessed that maybe it's just because it looked good on TV, the yellow stands
stood
out.
Maybe.
But maybe it's a strength thing. Maybe there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
Did the ocean, the little river detail that they had on the bottom, was that glued down as well?
I think the plates were just snapped down to the blue base plates on the bottom. So you could have messed with the waves if you wanted to. Nobody had any time to do much either on the bottom or the top. I think Caleb and Jacob did some fun things with the fact that on the top of their cliff, they had the little sunshine wagon driving off. The little orange car was hidden in that build, so if you go back and watch it, it's up on the top right of their build.
You mean from when they drove it off?
Yeah, a mini version of it.
They built a...
Yes.
I didn't see that at all.
I know.
Is that their idea?
It was their idea. I don't know if Steven recommended it to them or not, but all I know is it was in the build, and they actually, Will mentioned it, but they didn't make the cut. So
their monster truck that they drove right off the table, they
built a mini version.
That's driving off the cliff.
Driving off.
Yeah.
Poking fun at themselves. I love it.
And then we had a few tiny boats in the bottom because we wanted to create the appearance that they were lowering gemstones down all the way down to those little boats to be carted off somewhere.
Speaking of gemstones, your Gemstone Dragon. So the dragon was the dragon made out of gemstones?
That was the story, was it was a dragon made of gemstones, kind of like a very magical creature. And the gemstone that was being pulled out was actually its egg. So
Okay.
they didn't really cover that in the story. They
Okay.
cut that out. But
Now, do gemstone dragons have wings?
We're going there already.
Interestingly, this dragon was never supposed to have wings. It's supposed to be more like a lizard or a drake or some other creature that is...
I mean, actually, real dragons don't have wings. Komodo dragons don't have
It-
wings.
It's supposed to have a body more like a lizard in that sense, and it wasn't supposed to have wings. So we don't know where that criticism from Amy came from. There was also another...
She doesn't know. Sometimes I don't think she knows anything about gemstone dragons.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you were going to say Lego, and I was like, uh-oh. Another fun critique that I missed on the first watch was that they actually criticized Zack and Wayne for not using all the little yellow pieces. They said, oh, you missed opportunity there. I'm like, I think they were flexing on the fact that they only needed the main 3, not the other 4 on the sides.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, Jamie said that to them, and I'm just kind of like, isn't that the point, that they don't need that much strength? They're building it so strong and so long off the end. It's like, what? Yeah, so there was some really... we're getting to the point where our builds are looking really good, and they're just coming up with random, crazy critiques that don't really make a lot of sense when you think about it.
I noticed very specifically that Amy did not have any comments that they aired about Caleb and Jacob's castle.
Yeah.
Amy said something, but
There
Amy
wasn't
didn't say
too
anything.
much... They didn't have a lot bad to say about their castle. I can't remember any from the show. It was a pretty much a whirlwind thing, but that was about all they had. They were very complimentary of every person's castle this time around. Just a few things here and there. They thought Zack and Wayne's is a little plain on the underside and the sides. Ours, just the wings and the dragon, or some other random little critiques here and there. But they were pretty complimentary all across the board, if I remember correctly.
Were there any critiques that you feel are notable that were completely cut out? Like, for instance, I felt like they would have harped on Zack and Wayne a little more on the plainness of their build.
They got a few mentions of that, and you saw some of that in the show. They actually pointed it out. I think that's where they're like, they didn't win because it's plain on the sides versus, Caleb and Jacobs was very nicely detailed around. I think... Oh yeah, and they also mentioned Caleb and Jacobs was hanging off the wall a little bit. It was like kind of looking like it was going to pull off a little bit. And we actually talked to Caleb and Jacob, and they said, yeah, it's an acceptable level of stress. They had a pretty strong technique. They didn't think it was going to bust at all. So it's just like, it might have looked like it was stressing a little bit, but even ours, our big white one, some of the panels didn't line up perfectly. The weight would just pull them a little bit, and so it's not 100% straight.
And for this judging, at least it looked like in the edit, that they did not ask you guys to move it.
No.
They came to you.
No one was moving any castles, thank goodness. Although those bases were movable. We
We know now it's the wheels that
That's
Yeah.
right.
The wheels will get you.
Watch
Yeah.
out for, yeah.
For sure. That ended many a Lego Masters career for teams, yeah.
How long did it take you guys to figure out your technique? Or did you kind of have an idea? How much experimentation before you started, okay, this is it?
So the overall shape of the build was designed the first 2 minutes. So we knew we wanted to keep most of the bulk of the castle in the back. We knew we wanted to have like a bridge or a pylon out the middle and have towers going smaller as you go further out to kind of create that visual look of its building in. It's got a gate. So that was all there. The structure, we knew we wanted to have those Technic braces on the side, but then I came up with the idea of just like smashing those pieces in there illegally. Once we started like really popping those pieces in there, it really got quite strong. We had no further problems because all the towers were designed to be completely hollow and just have plates with tiles on the outside. So it's a little bit chunky, textury looking, which is good or bad depending on your school of thought, but it was very light. It was probably as light as Michelle and Natalie's, despite being much more volume, because it was all hollow. Like even the big strut was hollow. The bottom bricks were physical, but then it was plates with headlight bricks holding everything together. So it was plated as well, so it wasn't weak, but it was just really light. So we didn't have any problems with our design.
Okay.
Everything worked exactly as it should have. We were just really tired and we're building in slow motion. So.
Yeah, so you figured out your Technic side and how it was actually going to support it pretty quickly.
We didn't have any things like, oh no, the plan isn't working. It was like, yep, time to do this, time to do that. Nothing. It was like just chugging away, no problem. And because we kind of planned for not pushing ourselves to the limit, but more like doing what needs to be done in a way that's foolproof, we wanted to just be safe versus being first. So in this one, which is not our norm, but it ended up working out in the end.
I loved how you guys thought from the very beginning, we're going to do white, so it contrasts the dark gray that they made. You went with a squared off style castle. You guys do lovely round stuff, but you decided to make this one square. Is that because it was easier to build light?
Yeah, if you're doing it hollow, it's hard to do hollow rounded. You're still using bricks. The plates are thinner and lighter, and you can do that with a square shape much more easily and within the time constraints. If we did that round, it would be a lot heavier and less sturdy and more flexible. So it wouldn't have contributed to what we were trying to do as a design.
And I want to talk about the little characters you build. These are recreations. No, actually, the only one that appeared in the show was the king, right?
Yep, and that's actually slightly different from the one on the show. The one on the show had a mouth and different features, but this one is very similar to it. So.
And you guys have used this since the first episode.
Yep.
Not the exact same ones, but similar.
This kind of size and footprint has been pretty similar. The astronauts were a little smaller, but everything else has been pretty similar. The Vikings, the gnomes, they're all like these little brick-built people characters.
I think this has separated you guys since day one from the other builders. And that, like I said last week, I've been watching Lego Masters Australia, and I just finally finished it. And anytime somebody does something that is not minifigure scale, usually they win or it's just better than everybody else's, because naturally we all want to build minifigure scale because it's easier. It was
easy, they're
made
great,
for that.
they're characters.
Right? Yeah. When you go outside of the box and do anything besides minifigure scale, I think it really adds to the value of what you're building. It didn't pay off last night, I guess.
Yeah, it worked in that we got through to the finale. That was the ultimate goal achieved, but we didn't win. I think they were actually looking for more minifigures in this challenge, and they did mention that they liked them, so that's a plus.
Were those dwarves?
They were just little human miner workers. They weren't actually dwarves. I think it probably would have been funny if they were dwarves, but maybe too close to gnomes. Well, we didn't want to be too similar.
Now you're the Gnome Brothers.
Yeah, apparently. Now we're the Gnome Brothers. But yeah, no minifigures in all 11 episodes we've been in so far. Not a single minifigure.
Well, hold on, wait. I seem to remember... I'm going to correct you there.
Oh, really?
I seem to remember a plant figure.
Oh, yes.
I knew exactly what it was.
Mandatory requirement. No minifigures that we decided to put in there. I should say that.
The plant figure just went like...
And actually, he didn't stay that long anyway, so it's good. We didn't want him to be there.
That was our guess. It was so much negative energy going
toward
it.
Yeah, we're just like, I hate this darn minifigure. I'm going to get there.
The dragon.
Yes.
I loved it. Was it completely translucent?
It had a red base because there aren't any larger red, trans red plates, larger than a 1x2. So it had a red base, and then Steven very carefully and texturally decorated it with transparent red pieces and transparent blue and other colors to highlight the eyes and teeth and stuff. So it was pretty neat sculpture, yeah. So.
Even the teeth, I noticed, were 1x1 clear. Bricks. I love that.
Yeah, we worked within the limited parts of transparency to achieve some pretty nice shapes. It was a little blocky because of that, but that's kind of the point. It's made out of like stones and gems, you know, it's supposed to be very different.
Did they mention that in any of their critiques that were edited out? Because I don't remember them mentioning that at all.
Amy thought that there should be more Gem Dragon. And we're kind of like...
I saw your face when she said, where's the wing?
It was a castle build.
Yeah.
It was the castle was.
It wasn't build a dragon in a castle build. It was a build a castle build.
Yeah.
So we were trying not to be unbalanced. We didn't have a lot of time to build more of the Gem Dragon like we wanted to. We would have loved to have his arm reaching out.
I remember
her arm actually, because it's a mama with an egg. But some sort of reaching pose. But we were both. We should probably cover this in detail. But Steve and I were both at our lowest point physically the entire competition. I mean, we've been now many weeks of building. Very tough schedule. We've gone over this before. I had lost 30 pounds. There was a steep drop in temperature the morning that this challenge started. Instead of being in the 60s and 70s, like a normal Georgia spring, or even warmer than that, it had dropped down to below 40. And it was that temperature inside the studio. All the camera guys were wearing winter parkas and coats and gloves and hats and scarves, and we were all in summer clothing.
Hawaiian shirts.
And I had lost 30 pounds, and I'm not good in the cold anyway, so I was dying. I was actually shivering uncontrollably. You can see cuts of me wearing a sweater, because for safety, And in like kind of an emergency situation, they got me a sweater so I would stop shivering. That's how bad we were physically. We're just so tired, hungry, cold. That's why we were actually snapping at each other a little bit. You could see it in the cut, and it was rough.
Yeah, I think Steven said, "Watch your temper, bro. Watch your temper."
Watch your temper. He was getting spicy with me because I was getting spicy with him. But yeah, it was...
I need to get on Lego Masters so I can lose 30 pounds.
Yeah, no. I still haven't gained all the weight that I lost from Lego Masters months after.
Well, you have to keep going to McDonald's.
I know. I have to
get there.
Keep overeating. Yeah. But,
So I did notice that you were wearing a green sweater at some point. And it was during the Lego Learns when he was talking about blocking the brick. For some reason, in my mind, I thought the Lego Learns were in a separate studio in a separate space, but they actually showed you on one cut run back behind them, grab some bricks, and run back, which I didn't think they would allow.
They
were filming.
They generally didn't want you running back there while they were filming, but I was like, screw it. I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go get it.
I was wondering why you were, and I was like, is that Mark? Why is he dressed different? Why is he in the background of a Lego Learns?
The head producer realized how rough a shape we were in. This is Anthony, the guy, the top producer, and he's like, he said, get this guy a sweater. And he broke his own outfit code. Like, you're not supposed to change your outfit once you set foot on the set, but he changed that because he was really worried about the state I was in. So I appreciate him getting that for me. It really helped me get by. So.
Who else was really suffering?
I know Michelle and Natalie were cold. You could actually see they were kind of like, Michelle was pretty pale and Natalie had some like, not red blotchiness, but you could tell she was either extremely stressed or also just very cold. You kind of get that like flushed look in your cheeks when you're just freezing your butt off. So it was brutal. Everyone was exhausted. You can see it in her eyes. And then Steve and I also had a couple distractions while we were building too. They were trying to film and take pictures of our motion builds from the previous day. We had to go back and fix that for, I think it was about an hour while the build challenge is going on. So yes, they gave us the extra time later, but it completely interrupted our flow of building. And when I walked back off of the set with all the big bright lights, I was literally like dripping with sweat because it was so hot in there. So I went from cold to hot, distracted. I had to get a whole roll of paper towels and just dry myself off to go back on. Another hour into building, the producers called us out again. We got to get pictures of your outfits. I'm like, really? Now? We're trying to get a flow of building. And so we march over there, we stand against the wall, they take pictures of outfits, and we march back onto set and do that. So I'm like, at this point, I'm about to literally punch someone. I'm so furious. And so that's probably not too far from where Steven's like, watch your temper, bro, watch your temper. Because he doesn't want to see me deck someone on live TV. So not live TV, like national TV. Yeah. So it was really bad. So it was like, as far as building, feeling like you're able to build, we most of our confidence was completely gone just because of all the interruptions. The state we were in. I was building in slow motion. Steven literally froze up for about an hour and couldn't design a window. Steven has built hundreds of windows, but he had a big brain freeze there, and I had to kind of snap him out of it. I'm like, wake up, Steven, build a window, let's do this. And it was a rough building experience, but I'm glad that the castle looked pretty good at the end. We gave Caleb and Jacob a run for their money, made it hard for them to earn that title, but one of our least fun building experiences. Love the challenge. Everything around it was terrible.
How did you feel when they called you guys into the bottom two? Were you actually afraid, or were you pretty confident?
It's basically math. It's like we didn't have the longest one. Zach and Wayne had that. We actually had considered trying to compete with them, and we felt like, based on how strong our castle was, we didn't have any structural like leaning or anything. We could probably get pretty close to their length, but then they just have to add one more foot to beat us again. So it's like, do we want to start the arms race? Will we even be able to hold up against them? Probably not. Getting into the bottom two was like, yep, Caleb and Jacob made a great castle. There's only two teams left. They want to do a bottom two. Great. And we're like, given the challenge, we should win because we built a pretty nice castle. Not our best, but it's a nice castle for the challenge. They built a cardboard fort art piece. And it's a really unique idea, but it really doesn't fit the challenge at all. It's like, this is built on a tiny landscape. This is not, a treehouse or anything else. They've bucked the challenge to do something that's more their strengths. And for that reason, like, if they're going more on, like, following the challenge rules, which they have a little more in the end of this season, we should be safe, but they might pick them because they're original. And so, Steven, I was at this point so physically drained, and I'm like, if this is the time to go, it's the time to go. It'll be so ironic to go home on a castle challenge, but I'm like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. And I was like, well, here we go.
I thought about that when he said next week. He was mentioning something. Will Arnett was like, okay, next week is the next challenge, but you guys are filming day after day after day. There is no next week.
Yeah.
That's nuts. About Natalie and Michelle's build, I felt like it was pretty obvious. I felt like they were the obvious, I hate to say loser, but the person in the bottom, because with the things you just mentioned, they didn't build a castle. Yep. They played to their strengths. But not only was theirs the shortest, and although their box parts of their castle looked awesome, and they had, like Jamie and Amy were saying, it looks like you actually drew on a box. That's actually really hard to do in Lego, and yours looks really good. You couldn't tell what the telescope was supposed to be.
Not really. Yeah.
That was the one thing that just killed it. They had some cool stuff in the water that looked really, really neat. I loved how the box turned out, but it wasn't a castle.
Yeah.
Add to that they had not a great looking telescope, and they had the shortest build. Yeah. I thought it was pretty obvious. But I'm sure not when you're in it. When you're there and you're tired and you're sweating and you're called up, your head's on the chopping block. I understand that when you're in it, it may not feel that way.
The only wild card, though, that could have been played was probably, of all season, that was probably the most creative use of a build of a challenge that I've seen. Yeah. And they had a good point for doing it. They can't compete with the Castle Bros and
Zach and Wayne
and the technic ability of Zach and Wayne. So what do they have? They've got their creativity. Yeah. Now, I mean, really, that was super, super creative. Yeah. And when they drew it out on the iPad, was that an iPad? Or
I think you would Microsoft's the 7
those
Surface
drawings
Pro.
They show are from a professional artist, though.
Yeah,
like
they
those
drawings.
Yeah, those are from because it's all the same style. Now, when it shows them actually drawing in live, that's them drawing. But when they
usually
cut
pretty similar. But
when they cut to that screen and it's the drawing, that's a professional artist doing it
after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I thought that the drawing looked more like a castle than the actual castle. Yeah. It looked more like the boxes.
I felt like it looked like they wanted it to. It looked like they made it a Lego, and it looks like a box.
Exactly.
They even had the up and the arrow on it. It looked so cool. To me, in retrospect, if they would have built it just went over the top with the boxes, had boxes leaning off at weird angles, and they might have stood a chance.
Yeah.
As it was. I mean, and I know they wouldn't have had time.
One takeaway from me is that I've said my thoughts initially, but it's also that our build structurally did everything we wanted to. We got 4 feet out, no problem. They wanted to build a telescope out to be their thing that was going further out, and they couldn't swing it. They had to half the size of what they were hoping to do. And it's just because they couldn't get the technique to work, it was going to break. And that's the dividing lines. Each idea totally worked, but then they had to cut back from what they were expecting to do. Steven and I did not have to cut back from what we were expecting to do. Our expectations were slightly lower than Caleb and Jacob and Zach and Wayne. I think Caleb and Jacob had 5, almost 6 feet, and then Zach and Wayne had 6 plus. So it's it was step, 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 and then you got a foot and a half for Michelle and Natalie. So it's for the challenge, they had to back down completely.
Speaking of how far your castle was sticking out, Justin, you never told us how far your castle stuck out.
Maybe a foot before it collapsed. We were so bad. Like I said, we didn't have the locking system. It was all just trying to use triangulation and stuff like that, and it just Technic stuff. Like Jamie said on the Lego Learns, it bends. There's a lot of flex to it. It doesn't matter how many pins you put in that thing, because the pins bend, the pins break. They're really soft. Yeah. People are like, oh, Technic is the strongest Lego building.
Not really.
Yes, that is not true. Plates are. So, yes. And I wish we knew that, because the more we went out, and I would add trusses, and I just got bigger and huge. It looked more like Zach and Wayne's, except I don't think theirs had it way long, but yeah, it would just the more weight you had, the more it would spread, and then just the whole thing would just fall down.
I definitely saw you guys using the mallet in this one.
Well, he was tired.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember using the mallet on camera. I do know Steven was using it throughout the season. So
They
he
probably, as tired and angry as he was, they didn't want to give him a weapon.
Yeah.
Were there any other teams that were really like chomping at each other at any point?
I do know that pretty much everyone was doing okay. They were just like exhausted. And I know that Zach and Wayne, particularly Wayne was like, his energy was gone because he had gotten the news that morning of starting this challenge while his hair was being done that his friend had died.
That happened that morning?
That morning. That's why you can see a difference between Wayne from building the flying pig, super excited, happy, joyful, to this episode. Wayne is just like, because he is so torn up about it.
They did not portray that on television.
No.
Yeah. It sounded like it happened
A while ago.
a while ago. Yeah.
Nope, it happened that morning. He was so broken up about it, and his brother was just like, "Yeah, I'm trying to be there for you, bro." But yeah, it's crazy, you know. And so Zach wasn't too affected by it. I guess it wasn't his friend; it was mostly just Wayne's friend. But it was, yeah, he was shook up, and he was helping, but there was times when he was just kind of sitting there. So Zach did most of the building for this challenge. Steve and I were messed up, but they were also totally messed up. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Now, Michelle and Natalie, you could definitely tell they were low energy, but they seemed like so... I couldn't imagine them snipping at each other. Did you?
I don't
Did
remember.
They
They were just discussing things. I don't think they ever got to the point where, in this episode, I don't know about other episodes, that they were actually even fighting. Like, Steven and I, when we're pushed to that limit, we actually get kind of snippy and spicy with a brother. You know,
I was going to say your
easy.
siblings, they're
Yeah.
friends, so
Yeah.
it's a little different.
There's a difference there. I probably wouldn't get spicy with a friend in the
Exactly.
same situation. But
Exactly.
Steven, I'm like, just do it, bro. You know, like, whatever. And he's like, don't get mad, bro. You know, so it's like,
I don't know. I could see you yelling at John.
he's, an exception. But
He's like a brother, though.
Yeah.
A little...
yeah, exactly. He's basically like a younger brother or even a son at this point. So it's like,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Or an
right.
angry chihuahua.
yeah, exactly.
You just have to
Nipping at me.
discipline him.
Yeah, exactly. Stop it, John. Behave.
Just slap him with one of those.
Exactly.
Next time he's out of
Big
line.
metal gauntlet.
They were judging each one. Did you guys think that you would definitely be in the bottom two? Or did you think it was pretty close? It could be either brother.
Unfortunately, based on the critique and based on looking at Caleb Jacobs' builds, like, they got an edge. And it wasn't even immediately apparent because they had gotten the gray part done, and we're like, okay. They had gotten the dark orange part done, and I'm like, all right. It's really not coming together for me yet. And then they put the last third yellow piece on the top. And I don't really agree with the color choice of yellow, but that last piece was the perfect composition. Caleb knew exactly what he was doing with the composition. I'm like, okay, that actually really looks pretty good as far as the design and the bridge. Everything now works. It was the last piece they needed. I'm like, they got the edge now. I knew it. It's like, as soon as he put that on there, and I actually told him, like, Caleb, I'm like, that looks really good. Of course, they're not going to show that. I'm like, okay, yeah, you got it. And so from that point on, we're like, we're probably in the bottom two, unless by some miracle they let us win, but I don't think they're going to do that.
Or somebody's...
Yeah, or if something were to crash. But we were pretty sure that, like, maybe Michelle and Natalie would have something break off, but other than that, we weren't expecting anyone to break. We were all through the ringer at this point with all the technical challenges that it's like, obviously we're going to survive one more technical challenge if we've made it this far. Length, Zach and Wayne are safe. Build-wise, we feel like Caleb and Jacob have an edge, even if we like our build, and we played it safe. They went gonzo as far as they could. They were pushing the boundaries. We felt like we might have an edge on Michelle and Natalie, but it depends on how Jamie and Amy and all the producers feel about it. We hope we do well. We think we should go on, but we're not going to be top in this case.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on the Castle Challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, you're not the Castle Bros anymore. You're the anything Bros.
We're just brothers. We're the
bros.
bros.
The Lego
Yeah.
Bros.
Yeah.
The Lego Bros. That's still really awesome. You guys did awesome.
So you're officially a finalist.
Yes.
Yes.
Totally official. It's the 3 brother teams in the final.
That's crazy. That's cool too.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
We said that on an earlier podcast. If you are working with someone that you know really well and you've had a lot of experience with, you probably have an edge over some teams that were created by the producers that are just 2 strangers or people who barely knew each other and forced to work together. You probably have an edge. all brothers.
Yep.
Well, you're a twin. You have a twin brother. And when you guys do things competitively together and you're on the same team, can you cheat a little bit because you know what? Do you have a little bit of
Do you
an
feel like you have an advantage? Yeah.
We have an instant advantage even over other brothers because we've got the twin telepathy. You know,
Is that a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I believe it is because I've got a brother that's about a year older than me. And when we play basketball, it's like I could just throw the ball where I know he's going to be. And, you know, we have a connection that we didn't even realize we had.
Yeah.
Same thing with video games or any other sport that we're playing.
The contest.
We have an advantage over it. So I'm not very good at basketball, but when I'm playing with him, I'm better at basketball.
I think it's just you grow up with someone, you're close in age. You guys are a year apart.
Yeah, 20 months. So
and my brother and I are 4 minutes apart.
Yep.
So you just grow up with someone and you learn every idiosyncrasy, and there's even stuff you're not even aware of that you know about them and how they're gonna move and how they're gonna think and stuff. And
That
I
makes a
assume
lot of sense. Yeah.
I assume with Lego building too, like oh he's gonna be good at this. Hey, let's switch this. I can tell you're getting tired, whereas to strangers or even good acquaintances may not have that advantage of being able to play off of each other. Yes, you might fight more, but you also work together a lot better.
when it's working, it's working.
Yes,
You know?
in a way that friends couldn't do.
Yeah.
That siblings that get along can really well.
Exactly.
So that's my thing, and that's
All
probably
three teams have that to a pretty good extent. I mean, Zach and Wayne are pretty close brothers. Caleb and Jacob, pretty close brothers. Steve and I, quite close. I don't know. I wouldn't say we're more close than them, but we're definitely close brothers. So it's just like that helps. And you can see that it helped enough that all three of these teams, talented as they are, it helped them get there. You know, it's like it was part of the function of their team. So
absolutely.
Next week, it looks like you get to build whatever you want. I don't know if there's any
Did you guys see the final clips
or
and
not.
stuff? Yeah.
They kept showing. I only remember seeing one build, and at first, I don't know why, I immediately thought it was your guys' build, but it wasn't. It was Caleb and Jacob that showed them building it, and it looked like I don't know, kind of like an hourglass or something.
Yes.
And it was big, and it was neat, pretty original looking. So I guess we can't really talk any more about that. But I told Mark, if you do get to the finals, we're going to have a big party for you. So we are having a watch party next week at a local church. It's going to be huge. We've got some celebrities coming in.
Lego celebrities.
Lego celebrities coming in.
Yep.
And we are going to have a lot of fun. So what can our viewers expect to see next Friday, Justin?
A really awesome video. It's going to be we're going to have the review. We're going to sit down and do the review like always.
Hopefully Steven will be able to join us.
We're going to definitely have clips, like the first one, we had the premiere party. We'll have clips of the event in the beginning of the video, and then we'll have the actual review, and we'll either celebrate your triumph or we'll celebrate your...
We got there, yay!
Yeah, we got there, yay!
Hey, either way, you're a winner.
Exactly.
You're a
He made it to the
finalist.
final.
Yeah.
This guy I know that I work with, he made it to the last episode of Lego Masters. You're already a winner to me, man.
We were playing a game the other night, and it was a card game, and I got third place, and I was happy about that. And I told my daughter that I won. You know, I'm a winner. And she said, "No, you're not. You got third place." And I'm like, "Well, you know, the Olympics count bronze medals as wins. So in the medal count. So to me, third place is winning for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, in Lego Masters Season 1, they did not pick a second and third, right? It was just the winner and the other two,
I think it was like it was sort of there because they as far as I remember, it was Sam and Jessica were third. And Mark and Boone were second.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, so they
They
did order.
definitely
Okay.
did, yeah.
I don't
Pretty
remember that.
Sure. Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it again to be totally sure.
So did you guys get any more sleep for the final?
Yeah, so I can talk about that. Going into the final, we got off the Castle Challenge on Friday. We did interviews for catching up on stuff. And then we had on Saturday. And then Sunday, we had the whole day off going into the final. So we did have a nice day off, a little bit of rest, a little bit of food. little bit of time to just sit down and let your mind heal. All the teams went in a little bit fresher than they were in this episode.
Did you guys always get Sundays off, and that was the only day off?
Pretty much that was the only day we got off.
Did you guys sleep till noon and eat all day, or what did
Pretty much,
you end up doing?
Eat, drink, do laundry, and then mostly just lounge around and, try and recover some of that lost energy, so...
So we can see bushier tails and brighter eyes.
A little bit. Like, if we were at, 5% in this episode, we'll be at maybe 15% the next episode.
Okay.
Woo, we got a little bit of energy. Yeah, so.
Did you have any clue as to what the challenge was going to be? And did you guys worry about what it was going to be? Or did you try to anticipate what
That's
it was
true.
gonna
You have
be?
a whole day to kind of ruminate over it. Did you guys discuss it at all?
When Marie and Philip went home, the one thing they said to us, well, we talked a lot before they left, but one thing that really stuck with us is you need to start thinking about what you're going to do for the finale. They told this to us at episode 7. Because they thought that we and other teams too, they thought these guys could easily make it to the finale. And so we're like, yeah, we should think about that. So we had started brainstorming some ideas. And at that point, at that Sunday, it was the middle of the day. I walked over and we actually had a plan. I can't tell you what it is now, but I'll tell you next time. We did at that point, that was the deciding moment. We had a couple things in mind, and then it was just this offshoot one ended up being the one that we chose.
Do you think that the other contestants were doing the same thing?
I'm almost positive. I mean, you should have some kind of plan going into that. But we did kind of think that going into it, we should have probably 24 hours based on season 1, and we probably should have a pretty free reign of what to build. But we don't know. They might have some kind of twist, some change to it. That's what we thought going in.
What was the challenge in season 1?
It was
finale?
just build whatever you want. That was it, I think. I don't
Really?
think there was any specific criteria other than 24 hours, build whatever you want, make it cool.
So this one, if I remember correctly, is a build whatever you want to, but it also has a lighting component, and it has to look different in the daytime and at night, if I remember what they said.
did
In the
say
teaser,
that.
yep.
Yeah.
We obviously know from your build you brought in your upsized Midgard Serpent, and you won at Brick Fair, Virginia for the lighting, and that was one of the things specifically mentioned.
And Brick Rodeo.
And Brick Rodeo, and yours looked great in the daytime and nighttime. So either you guys got this in the bag, or you learned from your mistakes.
Read it as you will, but now we're totally capable of doing it. Whether we
Yes.
were on the show, you'll see.
Okay. You mentioned the Hourglass. I did not realize that was Caleb and Jacobs.
Yeah, it was, because at the end of the preview it showed
A little bit of them working on it.
Caleb
Yeah.
working on it. Unless he was snuck over and did it.
Now, I do remember what they were
Later
standing
on.
next to, and it was just this brown thing. I can't tell. It looked like it was a large sculpted something, and I'm thinking it's anthropomorphic because it looked like there was a chest to it, like a male kind of.
You lost me there.
I don't know. Anthropomorphic, human shaped.
Okay.
Human shaped.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I've heard the word for it, Chris.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Anyway,
Yeah, it looked like it was like a male style, like warrior or something, sculpted chest. That's what it looked like to me, and it was all one color. It was brown, not tan, but brown. So that's all I know, and I guess they flashed Zach and Wayne's, but I don't remember it. It
I
was
saw
so
everyone.
fast.
I saw parts of everyone's builds.
Okay.
In the thing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, so can we make a prediction? Can we? Is it okay to do
You won't
that
offend
on the
me.
final?
It's okay.
I don't want to make a prediction.
Yeah. Don't we just
for
want
this
him to
one.
win?
Not for this one.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
I think, I for some reason I have a feeling that their build is going to be anthropomorphic. Correct me if I'm wrong. But,
Yes.
I
They'll
have
be
a-
the anthropomorphicist, probably. Much more anthropomorphicer than any of them.
It's going to be more anthropomorphic than Caleb and Jacob's. I know that. Theirs is going to have more of curvy hourglass feel
Yes.
to it.
Okay. All right. And I will say this one story Angie told me about when they brought the castle build from this current episode, episode 11, back to be dismantled. Apparently the producers were playing on them to see how strong they were. Did you hear this story? And they were just bouncing on them to see how before they broke. And Zach and Wayne's, it took a little tugging and it broke. Caleb and Jacob's, it broke right away. That thing was holding on by prayer, and so
Wow.
was Natalie and Michelle's.
Wow.
They were bouncing on theirs, and it would not break.
Wow.
They were like almost hanging on it. They had to like dismantle it. It wouldn't just break by tugging on it. Everyone else's did. So kudos to you guys.
That's a cool story to hear from behind the scenes. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Look for our final episode 12 of Between the Studs Lego Masters Season 2 review. Man, it's been a trip. We had a break in the middle. I am super stoked. I'm super excited. I don't know if I can wait another week.
What are we going to do when Lego Masters is over?
We'll go back to talking to boring people, I guess.
We'll invite people to come and talk about stuff. I don't know.
We'll talk about Lego, I guess.
Sets.
Yeah.
No, actually, we have a few already in the can. We have
Yeah.
the Star Wars Clone Wars
Yep.
already edited, ready to go. I have a couple interviews with some smaller Lego YouTubers, just talking about being a Lego YouTuber and how that works for them and what they've learned. We actually did an interview with a European Legoer
Oh, yeah.
that we talked to and got the perspective of how is Lego viewed in Europe. Are Lego competitions done over there? Is Lego more or less expensive than it is here? Just getting a European perspective on it. So.
And we've been gathering our rare parts, so we're going to have
We're going to do another
we'll have
rare
another
parts.
rare parts, and the value of minifigures has changed so much since our 2 months ago when we came out with our last one. That
and like
we'll probably do another one.
We can do a most expensive sets in the store every month. If you guys want it, let us know.
Speaking of which, we got a Cloud City Boba Fett in this morning, mint condition, and we sold one for $600 a couple months ago.
With the misprint, right?
Yeah, the misprint. But that was the same price as the normal good condition Cloud City Boba Fett. We looked it up this morning. I didn't look it up. Joe looked it up, and he said it's over $1,000. Yeah. That's insane. So if you bought our we've sold a number of Cloud City Boba Fetts. If you bought them, you're doing good.
Hang on to them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. They will never make. He's got the old grays. They'll never make another minifigure like that again.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm getting
Okay.
carried away.
Stuff to look forward to.
In the future. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys very soon. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. And look for us on your podcast. And let it be said that we never shy away from a challenge. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
It's crusted blood from my enemies. Did
I'm
you have your
Gauntlet
gloves?
Man.